Hot button.
I was editing the live episode, and there's a part where we took a break or whatever, and I go, Jason, edit this out. And I was like, I love telling him to do that. And then I was like, damn it, I'm the one editing it. I've been bamboozled.
That's pretty good. Hello, listeners. Welcome to Hot Button. Now, we've talked about stealing other people's work quite a few times on the show in the past, right? Whether it be through game engines or video materials. But today's episode is going to be an interesting case, as not only does it involve some fairly large intellectual properties, it also involves a company stealing from themselves, kind of, in what may be one of the most notable modern reskins. We are going to tell you about the time a developer by the name of Behavior Interactive resorted to high school level cheat antics when asked by two different publishers to help produce two different mobile game titles. I'm Randall Beatrice, and I'm here as always with Austin Blakesley.
Yo.
And Chris Anantuano.
Yo.
Austin, what's the word about Fallout Shelter and Westworld, the movie, the show, the game, or whatever it's called?
I think it's just called Westworld.
HBO's Westworld television show based on the movie, now a game.
Based on,
Wait, was it a book first?
It's a show based on a movie written by the guy that wrote a bunch of books. It's not a book, but the movie was written and directed by Michael Crichton.
Wait. The
the guy who wrote
Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
No, but I saw so I looked later on in the script, and when you said, "Oh yeah, Westworld," directed by the guy that wrote Jurassic Park, and I was like, Michael Crichton's dead. I don't know what you're talking. You meant the original Westworld,
The 70s one,
Okay.
the movie.
Michael Crichton also wrote the screenplay for Twister, I think.
Cool.
Just to let everyone know
Twister
that.
and Westworld, both full of dinosaurs.
I think that might have been. I think he died in 2008. I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Rest in peace, Michael Crichton from Hot Button Podcast.
This episode is
Sorry,
dedicated to...
this episode is not about Michael
Only
Crichton.
11 years too late.
All right, so what's the history with
You,
Fallout?
Stephen King, wannabe hack. Nah, I'm just kidding. He's much better than
like
Stephen
Michael
King.
Crichton.
So,
Stephen King just never stops writing. Sometimes he turns out gold, many times he doesn't.
how you guys feel about Fallout 3?
That's a very
That's the
beloved
third
game.
one.
3, yeah. How do you feel about it, though?
Me?
Yeah.
I played a little bit of
Oh,
it.
fuck me.
Both of you.
Okay.
No,
Wait,
go
do you want to
ahead.
go first or me to go first?
Yeah, no, I love that game. It's
Okay.
incredible.
Yeah. I didn't play a lot of it just because at the time, speaking of things that happened in 2008, I'm pretty sure that's when Fallout 3 came out.
Yeah.
Wasn't it?
He was busy mourning Michael Crichton's death, not playing Fallout 3.
No. I
Yeah,
meant
2008.
like it was 2008. I just meant I was playing other games at the time. I think I rented it thinking it was like a first-person shooter, and I was like, "This is kind of slowly paced, but I really like this aesthetic." Like,
Yeah.
and then I mean, like I was still pretty conscious of what game studios were making what, so I knew it was kind of like the spiritual successor to Oblivion, even though it's based on older games that do not play that way at all.
Yeah.
But I think I played a bit of Fallout 3, and I thought it was fun, and then I think I fell off of it because my short attention span back then. I didn't have the patience for RPGs. I was playing Call of Duty.
Well, I played the shit out of that
I was
game,
like, I'm gonna
dude.
play World of War instead.
I played the second one, the awesome isometric version, or also
yeah,
isometric game on
Like-
PC. Oh, the game was incredible.
Yeah, I never played.
But 3 was also awesome. It was, I don't know, something about like when the vault opens.
Yeah,
you see,
I know.
Like this,
I really like
it
the
looks
world.
so horrible in retrospect.
Oh,
by the way.
it looks muddy and gray
Yeah.
now. It's really hard to go back.
But like, it was incredible.
We also have a lot of friends who swear by the storytelling in like New Vegas and stuff like that. Like they like a lot of the characters and writing and stuff in that series. I know you don't feel the same way about Fallout compared to Elder Scrolls, but you've played
Oblivion
them.
is better. Come at me.
100%.
I'm more into the look of like Fallout, but I know that that's where it all came from. Like, Elder
When-
Scrolls kind of innovated that.
When Fallout 3 was being made, that would have been starting in 2005, 2006. 'Cause Oblivion came out in 2006.
Yeah.
Fallout 3 came out in 2008. In between the two of those games, while Bethesda was working on Fallout 3, a little thing called the iPhone came out in 2007.
Never heard of it. Hold on.
And Randy
shills.
picked up his iPhone, for those of you listening, which is all of you, 'cause he did a visual joke. But yeah, they saw the iPhone, they saw how successful it was, and they said, we got to get in on this. And so basically, some teams at Bethesda got to work on trying to figure out a way to make a game that would work on the iPhone.
I can't believe the story of Fallout Shelter went back this far.
Yes.
That's really crazy.
They came up with a bunch of game concepts, but the two of them they liked the most are actually now out, because the other one is Elder Scrolls Blades.
Oh, is that out?
Yes.
Okay.
Or
Played
it might be an early
one
access
person,
still.
our friend.
Yeah.
They didn't try to make like the old style Fallout on mobile. I feel like that would have made more sense.
No. They wanted something that could only be done on a touchscreen. So Bethesda, realizing that they
Like Sudoku.
could barely make console games, decided that they needed to reach out to a bunch of third-party developers to see who could help them make their idea for this Fallout game and this Elder Scrolls game. They met with a bunch of third-party developers and heard a bunch of pitches, and then finally settled on a partner.
Who was this partner?
And that partner was Behavior Interactive, as Randy mentioned in the intro. This is a studio you probably have heard of, but don't remember their name. They changed their name after a certain game that Randy won't stop mentioning when this podcast came out.
Wait, was that their last game?
Yeah.
Was that...
So they used to be called Artificial Mind and Movement.
Yeah, I think that sounded familiar.
And they were responsible
They
for...
did all the special effects in Star Wars, right?
Yes.
Sorry, it just sounds like Industrial Light
It
Magic.
really does.
Yeah. No, they were responsible for a lot. And when I say a lot, I mean a lot. Like, this podcast would be a half an hour longer if I list all of their licensed games they made, because they made Drake and Josh games, they made Kim Possible games, SpongeBob games, Looney Tune games, High School Musical games. I'm pretty sure they made that Cory in the House game that's so popular, like as a
This
meme
is like
on the
a lame
internet.
version of Telltale
Yeah.
back in the day. Like,
Yes. They are a for-hire studio. When you have a property that you
Yeah.
want a game made of, but you don't want to be the one to hire people to make that game.
Hit up these guys.
You got a Behavior.
Yeah.
They
Good
are
business, though.
Yeah, they're also responsible for a lot of ports.
Yeah, they did a
they
lot of
did
porting,
the PC
too.
version of Dante's Inferno. They did the PC port of Halo Wars. They did the 360 versions of Shadow of Mordor, 360 and PS3 versions of Shadow of Mordor.
Yeah.
Also, apparently, they did the 4K update for the Master Chief Collection. Found that out while researching.
Oh,
them.
really?
Yeah.
Okay. They did like handheld stuff too.
Yep.
PS4.
They
Somebody's got to do it.
That's true.
And in between all of this for hire work, they managed to get out some original games like Naughty Bear,
Bad game.
Dead by Daylight,
Also bad.
and
Yeah, that's... No, never mind. I was thinking of the free roam zombie game. The fuck is that game called? The one
There's a lot of those.
Yeah.
the free running one.
Dead Light.
Dead
Wait.
Light?
Wait.
No.
Shit.
Dead
what
at, dead at
you
Dawn of
liked it.
the
What was
Dead?
it?
Dying Light.
Dying
Light. Call us some original names, you
Yeah,
have.
zombie naming conventions are just the worst. Like,
Yeah. Oof, boy.
what else did they make, Austin?
And they made Randy's favorite game, Wet.
Yeah.
Which,
Wet's so good. You mean John Woo's The Matrix's Wet?
Strangle Wet.
Which also means that they had a relationship with Bethesda, because Bethesda published Wet.
Yeah.
But like I
Probably
argue,
their most successful
They did.
game.
like I argue every time Randy brings it up,
downhill
it
from
wasn't made by Bethesda.
I know,
It was
yeah.
made by a bunch of thieves, as we'll get to.
They put the name
didn't
on the
they also,
box.
Bethesda also published like Rogue Warrior, didn't they?
Yes, they did. That game was stupid.
Is that the really bad Star Wars movie?
No, you like Rogue One. Rogue One's good.
Yeah.
Okay.
What?
So anyway, they got to work on making a Fallout game, and then in E3, June 15th, 2015, Fallout Shelter was announced by Todd Howard live on stage.
I remember this. We watched it.
And more so than that,
Watch this live.
Fallout Shelter was also released that day.
Yeah.
They did one of those.
It's out
and it's out right now.
Yeah, I remember us
things.
going on our phones. Also, a small side note: this was Bethesda's first E3 conference ever. Right?
Was it?
So yeah, I think so.
Really? That
so it's
late?
kind of a big deal. Yeah, their first conference was 2015, and this was like a kind of a notable thing because they not only revealed this game and that it was out, but it was also like meant to hold I don't know. Like it was meant to hold people over until Fallout 4 came out. But they also announced Fallout 4 and said it's going to be out later this year. They had this whole initiative that they were only going to show games that were like.
And unfortunately, couldn't stop Fallout 4 from being an awful game.
I mean, but what's weird is we talked about this, Austin. We were like, they had that whole thing where they're just like, no, every game we show is going to be out in like a few months, and we got a game that's out right now. And then like the E3 like. Was it last year or the year before when they're just like revealing games that are like 10 years out?
Space game.
Yeah.
Here's the words Elder Scrolls say you don't murder us.
Yeah. It's just like a title card. Yeah. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. But yeah, as Randy kind of hinted to there, this game was never meant to be a game that people played forever. This game was meant to...
Unlike a lot of mobile...
To satiate Fallout fans until Fallout 4 was out.
Makes sense.
The game... Have you guys played Fallout Shelter?
Yeah.
No, I don't. I actually didn't.
Okay.
Yeah. I watched
played it for like a week.
You know about it. It's you start your own vault. You play as the overseer of the vault.
Reminds me of Sim Tower.
Yeah, kind of. You build out the vault. You produce just power, water, food. You build rooms for survivors to stay in. Then survivors come up to your vault, bang on the door, and they're like, hey, I want to live. And then you bring them in, and they all have those special skills, and certain special skills help with producing certain things.
I watched you play it. It seemed fine.
You know, you can bang and have kids, but they have a system where the kids can't bang their sisters and cousins and stuff.
Damn.
You can send out survivors. You can get weapons.
Pretty sure The Sims has to do that.
You can equip your survivors. You can send out survivors to go find more weapons and bottle caps and bring them back. And it was all themed in the Vault Boy aesthetic. So all the characters had those big beady black eyes.
Yeah,
like
the whole
Vault
style
Boy.
looks like those cute, like the little cutesy videos from the 3D.
Yeah,
it is. It's cool art. I really like
Yeah,
that.
no, it's cool. Just in case there was maybe one person out there that didn't know like the visual look of like that character, because they are literally everywhere. Like that character has become such an icon and like symbol for not that game, but now just video games. That like if you go to Walmart or Target, there's like
you get like Vault Boy socks and Vault Boy
Vault Boy
beer glass with a Vault Boy koozie, and then a Vault Boy
Vault Boy condoms.
Yeah,
you joke, but I'm sure that's real.
Yeah, there's
also the time has passed, but
the radioactive
Simcest. That's what came to mind when you said that the Sims couldn't bang each other.
Well, so they made it in The Sims so that you can't. Yeah,
so,
and then modders.
Oh, my favorite people.
Oh yeah.
Funny story so I'm not going to get too far into Fallout Shelter, but if you're interested in it, Dana Dwyer of NoClip has a making of Fallout Shelter, which I watched.
Oh, right. I think. Yeah. Was that a part of the Bethesda one?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like a side video, but there's a lady in there who worked for Behavior who was like, yeah, so we realized that like it was kind of fucked up to have like sisters having sex with their brothers and having kids. But luckily, Behavior has made like 2 zoo games in the past, and we had to put a system in so that there was no incest in the zoo games, so we already had that system in place or something like that. Yeah.
2 things. A, it's the apocalypse. You're bound to have sex with your sister if you're just alive long enough. Second,
I'd like to see where this keeps going. Yeah.
I was gonna say that lions. There's this like story of these lions that are trapped inside of this like oasis that's in like a collapsed volcano, and they've been like inbreeding for so long that they're all like really fucking dumb and like. You have to look that up. It's fantastic.
So the other part of this is that, like I said, Fallout Shelter was not meant to be a money grab or a smash hit mobile game. It was meant to hold people over, but they still put microtransactions in it.
Hooray!
So you could buy special Vault Boy lunch boxes that could open up that would give you Vault Dwellers that were better than the ones that would just show up. You could get bottle caps, weapons, other supplies that would help you. You could get skins for your Vault Dwellers that would make them look cooler, I guess. But yeah, they were meant to be sort of non-intrusive. The whole game is full of microtransactions, but it was built in such a way that like they have timers that will stop you from doing certain things.
Worst.
And you can pay to skip those timers.
They're all bad. That's my point.
Duh.
Yeah.
But
like Boom Beach, looking at our engineer. It's not paying attention.
if you wait those timers out, you can get everything you need to play the game without paying.
Okay. So wait, can you pay to just speed up all the?
Yeah, but it wasn't nearly as bad as Elder Scrolls Blades is.
Yeah,
That's a little flash forward in the future.
I was gonna
to the current present.
I saw that game in the news lately, and it was not for something good. So
yeah. But despite being a little marketing stunt to tide over Fallout fans, Fallout Shelter blew up. It was downloaded by 5 million people in the first 48 hours. A month after it was out, it was announced that it had made $5.1 million in revenue.
Jeez.
Where we currently are in time right now when this episode is being recorded. Actually, I think it was last August was the last time numbers were released, but the game had been downloaded over 100 million times.
That shit is insane.
And had brought in about $90 million in revenue.
Jesus.
Just from those non-intrusive microtransactions.
Not bad for a game like that wasn't even really meant to last.
Yeah, but this led to a couple things. Number one, people took notice. Number two, Bethesda took notice and was like, oh shit, people who download mobile games are stupid. And they're like, we need to get in on this. So they actually hired a couple people away from Behavior who left to form, because Behavior, I didn't mention this, is in Montreal. Bethesda is in Bethesda. So they formed Bethesda Game Studios Montreal.
Okay.
And they're the mobile.
Well,
Did
brain
Behavior,
trust meeting that must have been.
So I guess around the time that this was like blowing up, I mean, I was just curious, did like Behavior had anything to do with the ports of that game? Because now it's on like everything.
Yeah,
like
it's on Xbox, it's on PlayStation.
No. I think it came out on even PS4 and Switch last year. It was on Xbox the year before.
Yeah.
It's on Steam.
Too.
It's on PC.
Steam now?
It was
it's on
free
Android,
for
iOS.
free on Xbox.
Oh,
Switch.
was it a Games for Gold one
Yeah,
month?
or
Okay.
Fallout Shelter?
Or Game
No, it's
Pass?
just free. It's free on
Oh,
everything.
it's just free.
right. Yeah, no duh.
Yeah, that's right.
We're an idiots.
Yeah.
Yep, we are in idiots.
No, those ports were all done by Bethesda Game Studios Montreal.
Oh, so once
Behavior-
they formed that new studio, they just...
Question about Bethesda Game Studios Montreal. What do they do? Where are they located?
They made the Elder Scrolls Blades.
Yeah. So the Elder Scrolls Blades is the new mobile
Yes.
thing. Is that just on Android and iOS?
For right now, I think. I don't even know if it's on Android yet.
Okay.
It's early access still, but it's bad. Don't play it.
It is on Android.
Is that still free?
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm gonna look
Yeah,
it
it's
up
free.
right now. I'm
It's
not
free.
gonna
It's
play
got
it.
timers like
It's-
like you wouldn't believe.
It's free, but you have to have access to the early access.
And you have to be willing to put up with a lot of bullshit to play it.
Yeah.
And it's not fun.
How do you really feel?
I love it. I play it every day. But yeah, anyway, Bethesda was like, oh shit, this mobile game shit makes us a lot of money. Turns out it's not just a marketing ploy. It turns out we can release a stupid little Fallout game and make more money than we ever did with Fallout 3.
Yeah.
So, cut
sad
forward to 2016, which would have been a year later.
Okay.
Fallout Shelter's been out for about a year.
Blizzard
And
has
some-
an idea. So that's you later.
It's doing really well. It's still making money. People are still playing it. A year after Fallout 4 and Fallout Shelter have been out. It's not just a marketing
I
thing.
think 3 got re-released
And-
again or something.
HBO premieres a brand new show from the creators of Lost and the new Star Wars movie called Westworld.
Yeah.
For those of you that don't know, take this with a grain of salt because I've only watched one episode of Westworld and then gave up because I knew it wasn't going to get better, or I knew it was not going to end satisfyingly, and so far, history has not proven me wrong.
I only have seen the one episode.
Yeah,
Too.
but Westworld is
The music seemed good.
Like I said, Westworld is a show based on a movie that is written, directed by a guy that wrote a bunch of books, including Jurassic Park.
Oh, he's also known for being deceased now.
Oh yeah, R.I.P. Michael Crichton. But it's about a future sci-fi amusement park where rich people can go and pay to be cowboys with a bunch of robots.
And they also fuck the robots.
Do they?
Yeah.
Did that happen in the first episode?
Yeah, a lot. Like,
that makes sense.
I've
Game of Thrones is pretty big.
I've seen most of the first season.
Okay.
Is there more than one season?
Yes,
I think there's two.
Okay, yeah.
Like that first season, I think was pretty well liked and reviewed, and then the second, I think people kind of did not care for that second season.
I just kind of lost interest, to be honest. Like, I was just whatever.
I actually think that conceptually, like, I've never actually seen the original Westworld
It's a
movie,
really cool
but I
idea.
think it's a cool idea.
The concept is that it's just this big.
The problem
you know,
I had was that it was like the pacing. It was just very stretched out and just kind of like I don't know. It was weird because it was like the
Like
performances
a
were
big
good,
budget
but
HBO show.
yeah, it was very. I think it took itself a little too
All I know,
epic for me.
it was
but
produced by like
it seemed okay.
Christopher Nolan's brother that writes a lot of his movies with him. And
I thought you were going to say the other one that's a murderer.
No, and J.J. Abrams.
It's actually
and then
true.
Yeah,
one of the guys that did Lost with J.J. Abrams.
Okay.
And then I watched the first episode, and they're like, "What's going
I
on
know,
with the robots?"
they
and
gotta
I was
be
like,
so-
and I watched it, and I've been burned by Lost before, so I was like, "They're never gonna answer any of this shit." I was like, "Why waste 20 hours of my life when nothing?"
I still don't think they
Yeah.
answered
already
any.
wasted however long, 10 years or however long Lost was on.
Yeah,
I thought their soundtrack was neat.
but anyway,
They had like modern music, but in techno cowboy style or something.
Yeah.
yeah, it was like player piano versions of like Radiohead.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
It was pretty weird.
Show premiered on October 2nd, 2016 on HBO.
It blew up when it first came out.
It spread kind of like wildfire. I don't think it was super popular when the first episode aired, but like by the time the second episode came out,
And then
people were talking about it on the internet.
Yeah.
As much as they talked about Game of Thrones when that first came out, which meant HBO was like, "Oh shit, we got a thing on our hands."
Yep.
And Warner Brothers, who produces Westworld, in conjunction with HBO, decided we got
Fine
to strike.
publishers of Mortal Kombat.
We got to strike while the iron's hot, and we got a video game publishing arm. So why don't we let them figure out how to make a mobile game and capitalize on this? So,
We got to get one out right stat now.
and mirroring back to the beginning of
had
this,
to be some fucking some social media guru at Warner Brothers who was like, "Dude, mobile games are sick and hot right now, dude. We got to get one going for Westworld." And then he
love
just
it.
showed him like a spreadsheet of like Angry Birds income,
just think it's
and they were
just like a
"Oh,
chart
shit."
going up.
Yeah,
I saw Cut the Rope in an arcade the other day.
yeah. So, Warner Brothers puts the call out to any third parties that want to help them develop a mobile game, and
I wanted to capture the essence of Flappy Bird.
they hear pitches, and they decided on the pitch. Spoiler for the entire episode.
it's just Fruit Ninja, but instead
They're-
of fruit, Westworld characters are flying through the air.
They decided on a partner, and that partner was Behavior Interactive.
Hey.
And so this is 2016. I don't know actually when the game was conceived or how long it took them to make.
That game was like announced and out.
Yeah,
Like,
but we're gonna flash
at
forward.
least to me, that's what it felt
We're gonna
like.
flash forward to after season 2 of Westworld has been out. It is now very popular and is losing popularity because people were not fans of season 2, and they announced that season 3 is not coming out until
Yeah.
mid 2020, which
the
it's still not out.
Weirdest thing, yeah.
They're gonna
I
take
don't-
like 2 years to make
to fix it.
season 3, yeah. But anyway, games announced because they're like, "Oh, now we'll keep people interested in Westworld." December 2018.
Yeah.
Games out there.
2-year mobile game plan.
Yeah. people are interested. The game is like soft launched, so some people have access to it, some people don't.
Okay, yeah.
Kind of what they did with Elder Scrolls Blades. Well, not they, but kind of what Bethesda did with Elder Scrolls Blades. But some websites got their hands on the game, and they noticed some similarities with another game.
It did not take long.
There are a lot of articles out there, but I specifically found one from Kotaku. Kotaku published an article that's
Really straight to the point,
just
yeah.
labeled "Westworld video game looks a lot like Fallout Shelter." That's what the title of the article is.
Yeah.
And a lot of people were like, "You know what? You're right. It does." And then you have the typical internet people that are like, "No, you guys are dumb. It's completely different. Like, I can play the piano in this one. There's no pianos in Fallout Shelter," or whatever. I don't fucking know. People are stupid. But essentially,
Have sex with the robot in Fallout Shelter.
Bring the incest back in that one.
there's people out there who are defending the Westworld game. They're like, "I like it.
I like the show."
Yeah.
So,
They're like, "So what? Fallout Shelter's popular. They're allowed to copy Fallout Shelter." But little did they know, they didn't just copy Fallout Shelter.
Anthony Hopkins ain't in Fallout.
Yeah, he might be. No, he's
Maybe.
not.
I don't know. They have like Gary Oldman and like.
No, that was the Book of Eli you're thinking of.
Is it Gary Oldman? He's in Call of Duty. I thought he was in Fallout.
No, Liam Neeson.
Liam
is-
Neeson
Thinking
is
of
in Fallout.
in Fallout 3.
Spacey.
That's Call of Duty.
That's. This has come up before.
Oh, yeah, duh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe the quote was press F to molest a child.
Should we cut that out?
No, that got left in there.
But yeah, the game was soft launched for 6 months, which
That's
I
a
don't know
long
why.
time
Yeah.
for. Yeah.
But
Well, when you can occupy people for 2 years.
yeah, the game was finally released to the public on June 21st, 2018. And one day later, on June 22nd, 2018, Bethesda's lawyers file suit against Behavior and Warner Bros. Interactive.
Bethesda, not known for suing people really fast for dumb reasons.
Yeah, it's true. That
seems pretty
didn't they sue
legitimate.
Mojang?
Did they sue Mojang? Oh,
Over the scrolls
the
thing?
scrolls. Right, I forgot.
What else? Who else did they sue?
Yeah, but I would have been alright if that stupid incel got a little bit of his money taken away.
That's true.
I don't think it
Yeah,
ended up
everybody
working
shit
out.
on Bethesda back then, but little did they know they were doing the world
They were
a
ahead of the
favor.
curve.
Yeah. What we're trying to say, if you don't know, is fuck Notch.
Yeah.
Keep playing Minecraft. Microsoft's doing a great job, but fuck Notch.
Yep. No, didn't they patch that fucking asshole's name
He's still
out
in
of
the
game?
credits. It's just he's not on the title screen anymore.
Did they put one of the the Minecraft pigs on top of his name in the credits?
It's a creeper.
It's a creeper.
It says It says
okay.
Marcus Notch Pearson. It goes and blows up. And play
Kill
it.
it, just leaves a bunch of little red pills behind.
Do any of the animals in that
Damn
game
it.
take a shit?
No.
Anyway,
it's a children's game, Randy.
Yeah, right.
Jesus, settle
Sorry.
down.
Yeah.
Anyway, not just the worst. Moving on.
All right, yeah,
Yeah.
Notch sucks. So basically, Bethesda claimed that not only was this Westworld game a copy of Fallout Shelter, but it was in fact made by the people that helped make Fallout Shelter using code that Bethesda contractually owned making Fallout Shelter.
that's so
and
good.
more so that Warner Brothers had hired them because they wanted them to steal code.
Wait,
So
what?
this is it's not just like a hey you copied our game or even a hey you stole our code. It's like a multi-billion-dollar company hired you because they knew you had the code and they wanted to steal our intellectual property.
Oh my god, that's. Oh man.
So I'm gonna go through.
Not Warner Brothers.
I was about to say, tell us about those legal documents that you had to read.
Oh yeah, I had to read more legal documents. Can you guys do it once, just once?
I read a single legal briefing for
your episode.
Yeah.
Okay. But
Was the Westworld game even doing well? Like when
it was out for one day.
well,
It was like soft launched, and people were playing it in the soft launch, but that's a very
Right.
small subset of users.
hey, I don't know. They had like 5 million downloads in a day.
I cannot
for Fallout
find
Shelter.
how many downloads this game. This game is a ghost.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Side note: finding
It's
information
abandonware.
about the Westworld game that's not hey they're getting sued is like
Yeah.
very hard.
Also, the game is called Westworld, and
Yeah.
with no fucking.
yeah, it's just
yeah.
called the same thing as the show. So yeah, you just
Yeah.
Google Westworld. But I'm gonna go through this legal document and basically outline Bethesda's whole argument here, starting with Bethesda starts outlining the contract with Behavior, and it basically states that like Behavior helped them make Fallout Shelter, but the code used to make Fallout Shelter, the assets used to make Fallout Shelter, and all the ideas used to make Fallout Shelter were owned by Bethesda under the contract. So
So you're saying we can't steal it to make
So
a
they
Westworld
might have even had a case if they just made another game like Fallout Shelter for another company,
Right.
let alone using code, because they also owned like the idea.
Yeah.
But that would have been harder to argue.
No, we invented something new called Bode, and it's not the same thing.
Yeah,
East Planet.
yeah. They claim that Warner Brothers noticed the popularity of the game. They noticed that Fallout and Westworld share some similar properties.
They also I feel like they could share similar fan bases.
Yes,
So both sci-fi.
It literally says in the thing a
or
shared
Western.
demographic.
Okay.
And so they decided, why not just make the same game? Bethesda also claims that Warner purposefully hired the studio that worked on Shelter and, quote-unquote, air quotes, induced Behavior to breach contract.
What the fuck does that mean?
It means that Warner went to them and said, hey, you still got that code? We want to make another game like that. You're okay using it, right? Which as much as
no.
as much as I support Bethesda's argument here, because reusing code like that is definitely illegal.
Yeah.
That's a stretch. I don't think Warner Brothers fucking cared enough. I think Warner Brothers came up to them and they're like, make a Westworld game and make it fucking fast.
Yeah,
because we have to capitalize on this. And Behavior's like, shit, there's a lot of money. And they're like, we still have that code from Fallout Shelter. And they're like, use it, you know.
Really? So you think... But you said they were pretty successful, though. Like, it's not like they were struggling for the money.
No, but
I mean, knowing them, though, they were probably juggling like a dozen other projects.
Yeah, they have a history of making about like 12 games a year or something like that.
So they're like porting other shit, and then they're like...
That's fair. I don't know.
They have these other licensees.
I think the opposite. I think Warner Brothers is fucking truly evil. Like, I do believe they would openly...
But I think...
They're as evil as any company.
I don't know, and I'll never know, but Behavior is maybe not like, I don't think the game developers of Behavior were like, fuck, we need to reuse this code. I think like they are apparently a studio that works on very, very strict deadlines for like companies.
That makes sense.
I think it feels more nefarious in the statements that we'll get to. Which, I mean, that's just damage control, but like every time people get caught doing something shitty in any industry, it's always like, if any controversy ever happens, just know in the back of your mind that the very first statement made will be horseshit. Yeah. Like that the first thing will just blatantly be a lie that they will have to like go back later and acknowledge. Like
nuns programmed it.
Yeah.
We put a bunch of monkeys with computers in a room, and then.
So if you played a mobile game, that makes sense.
Here's the crux of the whole argument, and here's the thing that when I read it, I decided that we were doing an episode on this.
Yeah.
I'm just going to read these next 2 points in full from the legal briefing because I can't really summarize it any better in words. Also, I want you to hear the verbiage that is used in this legal briefing because I didn't think they were allowed to put stuff like this.
I didn't think so either. Yeah. It's so aggressive that I thought that the quote was like wrong when you wrote it down.
Okay. The Westworld game is a blatant ripoff of Fallout Shelter. Working with the same copyrighted computer code used by Fallout Shelter, Westworld has the same or highly similar game design, art style, animations, feature, and other gameplay elements as Fallout Shelter, all of which are owned by Bethesda.
Like right to the throat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, you gotta be
no,
as thorough
you
as
do,
possible.
but you don't normally see the word ripoff in like you know what I mean, like
blatant ripoff.
Yeah, blatant ripoff. Like the phrase, like usually you say something along the lines of like, you know, like, oh, we kind of want to talk about some of these properties.
Behaviors. This is the second point. Behavior's breach of its contract with Bethesda is evidenced by the gameplay of Westworld, which uses the same copyrighted computer code created for Bethesda's Fallout Shelter. Behavior's use of the computer code owned by Bethesda to develop Westworld even included the very same bugs or defects present in the Fallout Shelter code. For example, the demonstration version of the Westworld game includes a visible software bug or code defect that was also present in an earlier version of Fallout Shelter code delivered by Behavior to Bethesda during development. This software bug appears when a player starts up the demonstration version of the Westworld game. Specifically, the view is out of focus and the scene appears that it is far to the right and below the targeted landscape image. It's as if the camera capturing the scene has been inadvertently pointed to the lower right foreground and then slowly refocuses on the central image.
This is out there to watch.
Yeah, the identical problem appeared in initial versions of Fallout Shelter. It was addressed before Fallout Shelter was released to the public. While this error was ultimately fixed in subsequent builds of Fallout Shelter, the appearance of the bug in the Westworld game demo makes clear that Fallout Shelter's source code was used by Behavior in developing Westworld the game.
Which, we have to reiterate on
Finally,
that.
bugs help somebody.
Because that's fucking brilliant. They recreated a bug. They actually solved the issue in the most fucking Bethesda way possible.
Yeah,
like,
they're like,
we know that's our game because it sucks.
Not only do our games have bugs, but we cataloged them, and like you also have that bug.
Like, there couldn't have been a more, like, Bethesda answer to a problem. Like, it's so funny.
Yep.
Like when they had that cheeky thing at the conference about 76 last year, they had their like break it early test application. Like you guys are out there on stage being like, hey, we know our stuff like breaks all the time, but
it's funny, right?
Yeah. Remember those videos of dragons flying backwards? That was pretty good.
So the rest of the legal briefing is boilerplate lawsuit. It's like, you people owe us money. You stole our code and you're making money off of it. We want our cut of that money. We want you to pay for our legal fees. We want you to buy us a new car. Whatever they do. I don't know. They're just like, we want your company to be over, and we want a judge to do it for us. That's basically what they end of everything.
Right. Yeah.
They're just like, I don't want any of you to exist anymore. I want all your money. You took my idea. It was
You
my
stole
idea.
fizzy lifting drinks.
My idea.
Good day, sir. But yeah, scroll down a little bit in the legal briefing, and you'll find their evidence section, which the
It
evidence
says na
section,
na na na, and there's a link to a video. That,
yeah, it's just a picture of Pete Hines just giving them the middle finger. No. In addition to the bug that I mentioned in that thing earlier, that was pretty much all their evidence. Was just like screenshots.
I feel like that's kind of enough.
That's enough, yeah. But also, it's funny because their evidence section is like, here's a screenshot of this game. Here's a screenshot of the Westworld game. Here's a screenshot of Shelter. Here's a screenshot of the Westworld game. Here's a video of the bug in an early build of Fallout Shelter. Here's a video of a bug in the build of Westworld.
Their bases are covered.
Yeah. And then the rest of the evidence section, that's only half of it. The other half of it is just articles, like the Kotaku one I mentioned
they use
earlier.
that as actual evidence.
The Kotaku article I mentioned earlier, because I found another Kotaku article
Get fans on your side.
explaining the lawsuit. And
Yeah, absolutely. Who better to judge whether it's similar than the people
Yeah,
who
the
played
people who are
both
playing
of them?
it,
They
yeah.
arguably have the most experience.
That's
like,
true.
From an outside
in that
perspective.
Kotaku, so this is also Kotaku. I think I mentioned this before in our Jeff Gerstmann episode, but Kotaku has been like kind of blackballed by Bethesda. Like they don't send them review
They've
copies.
mentioned that in
Yeah.
their articles still.
Yeah. So it says the Westworld game resembles Fallout Shelter. This is a Kotaku article about the lawsuit. It says the Westworld game resembles Fallout Shelter, a management sim released 3 years ago for smartphones, later on PS4, Xbox One, PC, and most recently the Nintendo Switch. Kotaku ran an article saying as much last year, which Bethesda even cites as Exhibit L in the suit, despite still having the site blacklisted and never responding to our emails.
Man.
But yeah, it's and Kotaku's not the only article.
Use
There
us as
are,
legal evidence. Don't
Yeah.
blackball.
yeah,
You gonna send us that copy of Doom Eternal review?
yeah. But yeah, the evidence, that's one of them. There are like 20 articles where it's just like, hey, maybe this looks a lot like Fallout Shelter, right, guys? Like,
Yeah, Wolfenstein.
and
game's coming out
so one day later, this is all like 3 days, Warner fired back and said this.
soon. This is the. Yeah. All right. Sorry. Just.
As one of the world's leading creators of intellectual property, including the groundbreaking television series Westworld,
Yeah. Flex your muscles while you're
Yeah.
being sued.
Warner Brothers has a deep respect
I
for
thought you were
intellectual
saying
property
Dawson's
rights.
Creek. Was that Warner Brothers?
I don't know. Warner Brothers has a deep respect for intellectual property rights. As such, the assertions by Bethesda Softworks that Warner's Westworld mobile game improperly used source code from Bethesda's Fallout Shelter are as surprising as they are unsubstantiated. Unsubstantiated. Sorry.
Unsubstantiated. Fuck. What do you mean?
Warner Brothers has been assured by the game's developer Behavior Interactive that Bethesda's allegations are untrue and that none of Bethesda's code was used in the Westworld game. Moreover, contrary to Bethesda's baseless accusation, Warner Brothers at no time induced Behavior to use Fallout Shelter code in Westworld.
Right. Also, for anybody that uses the phrase "baseless accusation" in a statement, means you're guilty. Like, I think we could save a lot of time. Just
Fuck. There's
Yeah, don't,
so much
the word
evidence.
unsubstantiated.
yeah, and unsubstantiated as
We
well.
know a lot about intellectual property. You remember the frog guy?
Michigan J Frog.
Because everybody knows that Looney Tunes characters weren't stolen from anything. They
Yeah.
weren't. A lot of them were imitations of celebrities. Like,
Also racism. A lot
a lot
of,
on and racism.
Sometimes often just blatantly outright stole from original artists
Oh, totally.
and then repurposed.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, but racist original artists. What I'm trying to get is Bugs Bunny is a racist.
it's true.
It's true. You ever see the episode where he's
Also,
on a
Disney does
island
it too.
fighting a Japanese
Didn't
soldier?
he steal Mickey Mouse probably from some Jewish guy who drew him? Rob?
Well, if you're gonna talk
Yeah.
about Disney's theft, we'll be here all night.
Yeah. Oh, we don't want to get into that.
Disney making the games. Can we find an end to complain about that?
Disney makes a lot of games.
Yeah.
All right.
I don't
Remember
think they
Dis-
ever got sued for them, though.
No.
Yeah, come to think of it, in all those Kingdom Hearts games, those characters look awfully familiar.
No relation. It's a Final Fantasy game.
But yeah, unfortunately, that's all we know about the lawsuit, or most of what we know about the lawsuit. Once Warner released that statement, I guess their people got in contact with Bethesda's people.
A lot of
and then
behind closed doors.
There was a lot of behind closed doors talk, and then it kind of just disappeared from the news until January 4th of the current year of our Lord, 2019. It was announced.
If you're listening to this out in 3019, what up, future? Sorry, just in case.
Okay, yeah. It was announced that the companies had resolved the lawsuit amicably. Mm-hmm. That's all we know. Mm-hmm. That the two sides had come to an agreement.
That means Bethesda got paid.
Yes.
Yeah. Because what happened next?
1 week later, the following message appeared in the Westworld game, and it says, "We hope you've enjoyed playing Westworld. We are sorry to tell you the park is entering a new phase and will no longer be taking applications for new employees. The game will be removed from the App Store and Google Play on January 15th, 2019, and officially closed to everybody on April 16th, 2019. As of today, you will no longer be able to make in-game purchases. If you have any in-game currency, remember to use it before the game goes offline April 16th, 2019. We would like to thank you for embarking on this amazing journey into Westworld with us."
We're moving into a new phase, shutting down.
I also just love it's like literally it's just like statement. We didn't steal it. That's dumb. You got no evidence. Yeah. And then they go over here to like, hey, sorry about this. We did steal that. So can we just get you some money and we'll take the game down? Just don't tell anybody.
Yeah.
No, we're sunsetting.
I'm pretty sure it's safe to assume that. Yeah, that's exactly what happened. They were just like, yeah, we fucking stole it. Just don't tell anybody, and we'll give you a bunch of money.
We'll go back to making iCarly games or whatever, and then everybody will be happy.
Yeah. Make a Wizards of Waverly Place game and shut up, I guess. But yeah, that's all she wrote. The Where Are They Now section of our podcast, the Westworld game, is now officially shut down because we're after.
That's phase 2.
we're after April 16th, despite what my laptop says about what day it is. And obviously, all the companies are still kicking. It's not like Bethesda or Warner shut down. Fallout's doing great. Nobody hates it. People still totally care about Westworld, and they're eagerly awaiting their new season 2020, 2 years after the last disappointing season that nobody liked. And Behavior, last I checked, is hard at work on Star Citizen. So yeah, it worked out great for everybody.
What a good punchline.
Have they stolen anything yet?
Yeah, this No Man's Sky's entire idea.
This is exactly the timeline they all wanted.
Yeah,
I'm sure. All right.
And that's all she wrote.
What a riot.
Yeah. You want to toss out some of them plugs?
Yeah, sure.
You got it down?
I got quarters for 65. Because people call drug dealers plugs. Jesus, I explained that to you guys.
We're not from the hood.
Oh no, I watch a lot of movies. I
don't sell drugs just because that sounded probably pretty legit.
No, you just buy them. It's different.
Whoa. All right. If you're listening to this, you've obviously already found the podcast. I don't know how, but thanks for listening. If you want to hear more,
especially those on Reddit.
Yeah, if you want to hear more, you can subscribe on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify. There's more.
Insert jokes.
Yeah.
Here.
Gotta get on Avalanche. What's the Periscope? What's
that
new app called? Himalaya.
Wait, what?
We're on Himalaya.
Oh, really?
Wait,
it just
what the
pulls
hell's
from
Himalaya?
iTunes. I don't know. Some venture capitalist was like, these podcast things are pretty hot, huh? What if
he stole the code from another podcast?
But to keep updated, we have a website, hotbuttoncast.com. You can find all our...
and all the code is our own, right?
Yeah.
I stole it from Squarespace. You can
That was an amicable
yeah, I paid them a bunch of money, don't you worry. You can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook at HotButtonCast. And yeah, by the time this is out, we will have our first live episode was recorded earlier this month, April 2019, and the video will be out, so go watch the video of that.
It's great. And there's a bunch of other episodes. Listen to those too.
Yes,
we got
there's a bunch
library.
of episodes. We got
at least one more.
So many lawsuits.
There's at least
a
one
lot
more.
of lawsuits. If that's your game.
So many. We got a lot fun fact before we close this out completely. I was reading this and I was like, man, lawsuits make great hot button episodes.
Yeah.
Let me look at like the list of like the weirdest video game
Oh,
lawsuits.
there's some crazy ones. I think Sega and
we got
Nike got
like
into it
a
at one
third
point.
of that list covered already, though.
Really?
Because it was like Fallout Shelter v Westworld, and then it was like something to do with hot coffee, and then it was like Epic Games v Silicon Knights.
CS:GO gambling.
Don't worry, we got plenty more lawsuits to come in the future.
And they keep coming.
They keep coming.
As long as people are stupid, we'll be there.
As long as people are greedy and thieves and
Yep.
well,
All
it'll
right,
be great.
and with that, we're out.
All right.